Welcome back, everybody. It's another episode of Touched by a Horse. I'm your co-host, Chris Angel, here with your host today, Anna Dietz. How are you, Anna?
I'm great, Chris. How are you today?
I'm so good. We had great conversation in green room time before we hit record. So I'm really excited to share what we talked about, because I think a lot of people wrestle with this whole thing about failure. Failure paralyzes people. So to get us up to speed, maybe we can pick up where we left off with you and I last time, where we were talking about business and confidence in business, right?
And we were really talking about trolls.
Oh, that's right. You said you had a lot of action off of trolls. Yeah.
A lot of reaction on trolls. I think that it hit people at home. We can feel our trolls. We can feel that negative voice inside of us that keeps us small, that stops us from going out there, that stops us from trying, that really impacts us greatly and in small little ways. The trolls was a big thing last time.
Wow. So it's interesting too that when I think of trolls, I usually think of like internet trolls, people hating your Facebook posts and things like that. But it's interesting that there is that internal, we all carry our own troll in our back pocket.
That internal critic, right?
Yeah,
that voice in your head, the opposite of the voice that's telling you, you can do this, you can succeed. It's the other voice. It's the other voice that says, ooh, you should hesitate. You should hold back. Yeah. That's maybe too big. That's maybe too much, right?
That is so good, because in the work that you do with Gestalt work and your horses, right? Like it's actually getting people to some of the source of that voice or that troll, isn't it? Like,
oh, totally. So in the word Gestalt, which we talked about last time, as we're all kind of learning as we go, Gestalt means really, to me, it's this return to wholeness. So it's not that you're broken because you have this troll. It's not that there's something wrong with you. You're living the human experience. Yeah. And in the Gestalt process of returning to your truth, your whole authentic self, it's really to give less voice to that troll, or maybe find out, what's behind that.
Right.
Why is that happening? Whose voice is that?
Yeah, that's so good.
Where is this relationship with this troll coming from? And is it serving me or is it not?
Right. Because I think, if we go all the way back to when we're babies, there is no troll. We're just totally present, right? We're just here. Right. And then at some point, our ego kicks in, or however you explain that, like we start to process the world. Sure. And somebody says, you're not good enough, or you'll never amount to anything, or somebody says something, and all of a sudden we make a story up to cope with all of that, right? And then
life happens. Right?
Yeah, life happens, right?
We go through experiences. We go through trials. We go through tribulations. We go through the greatest joy and the greatest success. And with success, we also fall when we try to walk for the first time, right?
Yeah, right.
We also jump out on the ledge and try that big, crazy thing, and it maybe didn't turn out exactly how we envisioned it. So we've experienced great joy. We've experienced great failure. And those experiences shape how we show up for the rest of our life. Right? They shape us in great ways, and they shape us in ways like this little troll, this little voice that says, whoa, 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 remember last time? Don't do that again, Chris, right?
Right, totally. And that brings us, I think, into this conversation today, where we're facing our fear of failure. Like at some point then we're tired of failing, and we're like, I want it to be different.
Yeah.
And this is what I'm curious, your experience and how you have, or what some of the lessons are you've had in overcoming fear.
I love that. And the people that are seeking out to work with an equine Gestalt coach, a horse and a Gestalt coach, have that curiosity, have that wonderment about, man, what could life be like if I wasn't afraid to fail, right? So or if I knew the possibilities, or if I was truly clear with what I wanted. And what I want to share with you today, Chris, is how or what the horses have taught me about failure.
Yeah, I love it. It's so good. I know we created a list. So what's the first thing as it relates to facing your fear of failure?
I love that. So the first thing that the horses have taught me about failing is, number one, be present, right? Be present today with what it is that I'm feeling, thinking, experiencing. Be present with that. Yeah. With the help of a horse and a coach, you can get clear on what your feelings are, right? Yeah. You can get clear on what it is that you want.
Right.
A Gestalt coach, is able to help you figure out those things that are maybe just outside of your awareness, that aren't in the foreground of what you're showing up with today.
When you're present, when you're present, it's like, I'm trying to think, I feel like that phrase has surfaced more in the last several years. Like, as I think as we awaken as human beings to our spiritual connection, we start to understand what that means more. But I still think that sometimes we go, oh, I know what that means, be present. Right. And then I go into the rest of my day and I'm not present. Like,
let's go into it a little deeper. What does it mean to be present?
Perfect.
Okay. So it starts with feeling your heartbeat. It starts with feeling the temperature of the room. It starts with listening to the sounds that you hear. When you're in the barn, you can hear a horse's breath, a horse's tail swishing, right? It starts with your senses, getting them into awareness, getting them into your forefront of your mind. That's where you start to be present. When we're not present, we might be thinking about our grocery list, or the assignments that we have to do for our instructor, or, the sideways we are with our sister, whatever it is. We could be thinking about the future. That's not being present, right? That's being in this anxious state, thinking about what is to come. We also could be thinking about the past, right? We could be thinking about what we did yesterday, what we did last week, the conversation that we had with our coworker. That's being in the past. So it starts with getting present. And it really, it helps to have a coach guide you through that process. Like, Chris, if I asked you to close your eyes for a second and draw all the awareness to what you could hear, that asks you to take that choice and take that step into that action of being present. So it's more than just a term. It's more than just a saying. It's a practice.
Yeah. I do like the idea that if you are looking to get to the next level of things, having somebody, I still like guided meditations, like to have somebody else who's helping you to become present it's a muscle, right? I think the more you do it, the more, the easier it is for you to do. Let me ask you this question. Being present, what have you experienced as the benefit or the payoffs of being present?
I've experienced a lot of clarity. When I'm with my horses, they are really only interested in me when I'm present.
Interesting.
So if I'm out in the barn and my horses are kind of like, I don't know, I question, where am I? Am I in the future? Am I in the past? How can I be more present and show up more authentically? So that my horses want some connection with me. And that's not just horses, right, Chris? That's people.
I know. I was just thinking that. I was just thinking, like, you could look around your room and like your family is kind of like, nah.
Yes. If you're stuck somewhere other than right here, you are really blocking yourself from great connection.
So good.
Start with being present.
Okay, being present. I love it. What's the next thing that the horses taught you?
So the next thing that horses taught me about fear of failure or being afraid to try is to speak my truth, to get clear of that. A feeling of fear is real, right? We hear a lot of people that say, oh, pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Just go for it. Just make those calls. Just send those emails. Just do the big things. Fear is a real feeling. And it does cripple us at times. So becoming clear with what your truth is really helps identify where you're starting from and where you're headed.
Explain the truth. Like, what is my truth? What do you mean by that? My truth.
So the truth is speaking possibly maybe about what it is that you're afraid of. So for instance, starting a new business venture, maybe it's different than some other things that you've seen. So saying, wow, my fear of failure is that I could step out into this new skin and could be ridiculed, or people could not connect with me, or people would think, oh man, she's crazy. She doesn't know what she's talking about, right? So speaking of what is it that you're afraid of? Are you afraid of, that ridicule? Are you afraid of stepping out and maybe losing any other asset in your life? Just speaking that truth about what it is.
Is there if I follow that down the road, like I'm thinking back to your analogy of making calls or doing the things and just pulling myself up by my bootstraps. And if I've experienced this. So I think the first step, you're right. Like if I can get present to my truth of what I'm afraid of, like I'm afraid that people will reject me. I'm afraid that it won't go the way I want, whatever. then is there another step of truth that pulls me out of the, this is what I'm afraid of? And is there an empowering truth that comes, or?
So great. So that's, I truly believe that's kind of the next step that the horses have taught me.
Okay.
So getting present, right?
Yep.
Being here, being now, being ready.
Yeah.
Speaking your truth. I'm afraid of X, Y, Z, right?
Mm-hmm.
The next step is looking at the possibilities.
Yeah.
Sometimes in fear, we're so afraid of the what if.
Yeah.
But what if we turn this to what if you were so successful beyond your wildest dreams?
Yeah.
What if I grabbed everything that was in my vision, everything that I wanted, everything that I dreamed about, and stood in this feeling of amazement? What if it was so amazing, right?
Yeah.
So exploring the possibilities that could be on the other side of this thing that's making you scared or fearful.
I love that. I love it because I feel like when you get down into when you get present and you just are feeling the air and the senses and the things, and then you can start to really get in touch with the fear. Most of the time, if we're not present, it's hard to get in touch with the fear, has been my experience. Because we just had such an uncomfortable feeling that we press it way, way down. But once we get present and we can not be afraid of the fear, but face it, just be with it, that then I feel for me, and I don't know if this is your experience, it starts to not have as much of a sting. I just go, oh, look, that's interesting. Look at that fear. And then I actually can just, as it fades away, like you said, something new starts to show up, a new possibility. Yeah. Is that your experience of how that sort of goes?
Sure. That is absolutely valid. That is definitely one way to look at fear. Yeah. Another way is this fear that you're not acknowledging or not really knowing how it's affecting you is causing you to show up in the world in a reactive way, right?
Yeah.
So your reactions mean you're doing something without intent behind it, right? It just happens.
Yeah.
So maybe something that's causing you some nervousness or anxiety or fear is causing you to shut doors that you don't really want to shut out of reaction, right?
Yeah.
In the Gestalt process, what we do is help you change that reaction into a response, right?
Yeah.
So being present, addressing what it is that causes you the fear, looking at the possibilities, right? Helps you change that reaction of slamming that door into a response of saying, whoa, right?
Yeah.
And then connecting that with other pieces of work like your value system and your vision helps you get real clarity on where it is that you're going and helps really be in that moment of being responsive. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I love that. It's so good. There's a saying that like, don't let your reaction be your response or something like that. Like, yeah, I love that.
Right.
Are there any other things that you feel like is relevant to this conversation in terms of the horses have taught you in facing your fears?
Yeah, we kind of touched on it just briefly.
Yeah.
One thing for myself, if I get nervous about stepping out into my truth or stepping out into a brand new big idea, sometimes one of my reactions is to get a little isolated, right? Totally. So one of the big things that the horses have taught me is to seek connection, authentic connection. When I'm present, when I'm clear, when I am standing in that curiosity, the horses really seek to connect with me, right? Because I'm standing in my truth. Yeah. I'm not out in my head. I'm not worried about tomorrow. I'm not worried about or thinking about yesterday. Standing here in my truth is where the horses really seek that connection. And that's huge for me.
Yeah. I love that. The connection piece of that is, especially if you're in business, I know that you work with a decent amount of business people, right? Like a lot of your clientele are in business.
Yeah.
Business can be very isolating. It's hard to come home if your spouse is not in business or your partner's not in business to come home and they don't share that language. It's very hard to connect that way. Yeah. At work, you don't want to look like you don't know what you're talking about or know what you're doing.
Right.
There's all these ways we feel like we have to not connect. Right. I love that. So good. Connection. I think connection's underrated.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And really it's a topic that we really need to look at as business owners, as people in this world, building more authentic connections. I know me, I want to do business with people that I know. Right?
Totally.
Yeah. I want to go to dinner with people that I know. I want to just experience life with people that I'm connected with. So building that muscle is a big deal.
I think I wouldn't think to connection with fear, like that connection would be a great response to fear. I don't actually, maybe I don't know if I've ever actually connected the dots of that until this conversation. Like, I'm picturing my life right now. Like, what would it look like if I had more connection as it relates? Yeah, right. Mic drop, truth bomb.
Truth bomb.
That's great. Yeah, that's really good. What a great one to end on.
Right.
Any last minute like wisdom for people as they're facing their fears and wanting to get to the other side of that?
Facing your fears is work, right? And it's a choice.
Yeah.
It's when you are struggling to set out on something new, to start up that big grand idea, you have a choice. You can choose to sit with that fear and just let it be and not move forward. Or you have a choice to say, wow, I want more, right? I want to seek the possibilities. I want to reach this potential. I want to seek that dream. So feeling fear is okay. Now what are you going to do with it?
So good. That's a great place to end. So Anna, if people want to reach out to you, they want to work with you, learn more about the Gestalt work you do and helping them get to the other side of their fears, where can people go?
Please go to my website, www.beyondthehorse.com.
Perfect. So good. Great episode, Anna. Thank you so much. Thanks for your wisdom, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you, Chris.